everything. It seems like things are actually now unfolding in favor of the light. Not to mention, on the 22nd of November, my lovey will be there doing some crystal energetic chakra balancing for those that are wanting to get their chakra balances. So it's going to be a fun evening, or afternoon rather. And also, before I get started, for those of you that were forced or coerced to get that, right? There is a product that eliminates all that stuff, the graphene, the nanoparticulates, you name it, the stuff that they spray us with, the stuff that we eat in our foods. It's everywhere, guys. All right. It's even in the cattle that we eat. Okay. If you guys know what Bill Gates has been doing for the last couple of years. Well, there's this product that actually takes all that stuff out of your body called Folium. And I always put the link in the description, and I also pin it in the comments. And I believe that Sarkadian is also putting the link in the chat. So make sure you guys get your Folium. This stuff not only eliminates all the nanoparticulates, but it also helps to clean up the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It eliminates the radiation from all these negative frequencies that are bombarding us, right, through these towers. And it also eliminates the parasites, because it is scientifically proven that parasites could only exist in your body by virtue of the amount of metals that your body's filled with. So when you eliminate the metals, you eliminate the environment for these parasites to exist in. All right, with no further ado, I'm going to get right into it. As mentioned, after the interplanetary reports, I will be giving an update on the EBS. So apparently, 3i Atlas has become the center of an escalating controversy, especially because NASA is deliberately suppressing the truth about its true nature. So recently, amateur astronomers have detected a fast-moving object, of course, entering our solar system, and this happened, 2 months ago, from beyond the heliosphere. Well, initially, they labeled it as what? As a comet-like interstellar body. Its motions defied expectations, of course. Its trajectory was unnaturally precise, and the light that it reflected did not match the spectral signature of ice or a rock. So let's just rule it out, guys. It's not a comet, okay? And in a little bit, I'm going to provide evidence from other space agencies that have actually unearthed what they are uncovering based on images and, of course, leaked information. Well, within weeks, of course, researchers from several independent observations noted some sort of an electromagnetic emission that appeared very structured, right? Evidence of intelligent life, suggesting that that 3i Atlas is more of an intelligent design rather than of a floating rock in space. So official NASA statements have wrongly classified 3i Atlas as a fragmented interstellar comet. And of course, we all know who controls NASA, right? Repeating a familiar pattern of downplaying anomalies. And they're hiding this. Well, according to leaked internal reports shared among global research institutions, hinted that certain NASA teams were actually under strict orders to not publish the anomalous data. Well, this silence has fueled the growing belief that NASA's leadership is actually acting under high directive to withhold the extraterrestrial truth until, of course, humanity is deemed ready. Okay, this is what the officials are saying behind NASA. Well, several whistleblowers have claimed that the high-level NASA and defense officials view 3i Atlas as an intelligent probe, not as a natural body. According to these claims, its apparently inactivity is a form of observation and not malfunction. Well, they suggest that NASA's reluctance to disclose the truth is actually driven by concerns over economic disruption, religious backlash, and the loss of institutional control over space policy, which would in turn end the secret space program cover-up. Well, while the United States, of course, appears to be cautious about it, well, not the United States, but NASA, other space powers have actually taken a different stance. According to NASA's National Space Administration, abbreviated for CNSA, they have actually reportedly identified a non-random pulse transmissions coming from Atlas. The Chinese scientists have also publicly hinted that the object represents a signal of higher order intelligence. State affiliated journals have actually framed it in China, and it is a potential emissary, according to the Chinese insiders, rather than an invasion craft. Okay, apparently the space agency of NASA is already communicating with the intelligences of 3i Atlas. So they've already ruled it out that this is not an evading craft, but is actually more of a potential emissary that is aligned with harmony and the universal order. And then, according to the Indian Space Research Organization from India, abbreviated ISRO, well, that has also taken a more spiritual tone. Indian astrophysicists and philosophers alike have actually drawn parallels between 3i Atlas and ancient Vedic descriptions of Vimanas, which are celestial vehicles that are used by advanced beings, as recorded in the ancient Rig Vedas. Well, several Indian media outlets, or let's just call them, independent outlets, have actually speculated that the object's arrival aligns with a cycle of human evolution described in those ancient texts, marking a turning point towards collective awakening. And then, according to Russia's Roscosmos, which is the space agency of Russia, they have also released unconventional statements. Well, unconventional, according to NASA. A spokesperson's actually alluded to non-terrestrial engineering signatures and claimed that 3i Atlas has actually altered its velocity in ways inconsistent with gravitational physics. And yes, right, they have actually recorded footage of 3i Atlas speeding up and then slowing down and then changing trajectory. Very fascinating. This is coming from the Russian space telescopes. Well, Russian scientists have gone further to suggest that the craft's mission could actually be monitoring the Earth's transition into a technological and energetic phase, which is, from that viewpoint, it actually resonates with all spiritual traditions. And this is coming from insiders in Russia, okay? It's also important to understand that the arrival of 3i Atlas could actually be the prophetic depiction, according to the indigenous traditions, regarding the arrival of the star nations. Because, as will be explained in a little bit, there's actual footage coming from various space agencies in Russia, China, and India that actually show that there are hundreds of miniature light probes that are actually surrounding 3i Atlas, okay? And they don't want us to see these images. And that's why NASA's not saying nothing. Well, according to the Galactic Alliance transmission that I received, 3i Atlas is actually communicating with the members of Space Force. And mind you guys, that Space Force is working with the international alliance that we call the WIHATS, consisting of 109 countries. And yes, the Republic of China, Russia, and of course India have also members within Space Force. Okay, so according to the alliance, the Galactic Alliance, 3i Atlas has actually been communicating with the members of Space Force, stating that Earth is no longer an isolated situation, all right, or an isolated planet. And I've covered this in previous lives. Well, with the arrival of the interstellar object, 3i Atlas, the transmission from the galactics is that humanity is now standing at the threshold of its most profound revelation, which is what we call the apocalypse, right? The book of the Bible, Revelations, that we are not alone in the universe and that we've never have been alone in the universe. But what has begun as a whisper among these other astronomers has now become a planetary awakening, because 3I Atlas is not a solitary travel, it is actually a mothership. Well, check this out, guys. In the last week, astronomers around the world, besides NASA, have observed unexplained luminous anomalies trailing behind or orbiting 3I Atlas. And I'm not talking about the ninth craft that I talked about a few weeks ago. I'm talking about hundreds of little anomalies, okay? Well, initially dismissed as debris or natural outgassing by the skeptics, this phenomena has multiplied and began to exhibit controlled movement, synchronized formations, and even geometric flight paths, something that no natural body can do. Well, recently leaked data and enhanced imagery from China's CNSA, India's ISRO, their space agencies, and Russia's Roscosmos confirm what independent observers have long suspected, and that is that 3I Atlas is actually dispatching hundreds of smaller crafts. And there's images that are actually circulating all over social media. They look like little white specks all around 3I Atlas. Well, these are not random fragments, okay, guys? These are actually individual vehicles, each with a specific trajectory and, according to some sources, a specific mission. Well, China has captured thermal and electromagnetic signatures from these objects, indicating that these smaller vessels are actually self-propelled and operating with a coordinated intelligence network. Well, no wonder NASA doesn't want us to know this stuff, right? The CNSA from China, which is their space agency, is an off-record, the CNSA, the space agency from China, in an off-record briefing leaked by whistleblowers, referred to these little lights as autonomous interstellar probes of non-human origin. And then Russia's space agency, known as Roscosmos, has also released high-resolution infrared images showing hexagonal patterns and pulsating lights on the surface of these crafts, strongly suggesting intelligent design, right? According to one source, within their deep space program, as mentioned, even Russia at the highest levels is connected to the secret space program, Solar Warden. In fact, I guess I'm going to not deviate from the subject here. Anyways, they are not merely observing, according to their space agency, they are preparing the ground for a contact protocol. Wow, that is fascinating. And this is coming from insiders within the Russian space agency. They are preparing the ground for a contact protocol. Well, India's space agency, also known as the ISRO, that is working with spiritual scholars and astronomers combined, has gone further in stating in a classified panel that these crafts appear to be vessels of star envoys from different parts of the universe. Well, the ISROs, which is the space agency of India, telemetry teams have noted that several craft have actually slowed down to near stationary positions above the Earth's magnetospheres. We're talking about these smaller crafts that have been dispatched from 3I Atlas, forming a geosynchronous orbital pattern, almost like a celestial council in waiting. And according to the transmissions coming from the Galactic Alliance, they are there in key positions around the planet. We're talking about these little light ships or smaller craft, in order to prevent what would have been known as an electromagnetic pole shift. So they're preventing catastrophe, okay, major catastrophes. So from a higher galactic vantage point, This is not a random alien visitation, my friends, all right? This is a long prophesied reunion. For millennia, wisdom keepers, as well as indigenous traditions across Earth, have actually spoken about the star nations, these ancient interstellar civilizations that actually seeded humanity with knowledge, genetic templates, and spiritual codes. So, according to the galactic history, which I teach, well, I teach the whole cosmic history in my course, Our Cosmic Origin. According to the galactic history of our galaxy, Earth was once part of a multidimensional alliance, a federation of life-bearing planets working together to evolve consciousness throughout the Milky Way. And due to a fall in vibrational frequency and external interference from regressive forces, the negative Anunnaki, Earth was actually cut off from its stellar family, and that's what caused the quarantine. Okay? Thrown into a cycle of amnesia, conflict, and control. Well, now, with the dispatching of these hundreds of smaller craft from 3i Atlas, the star nations are actually returning, not as invaders, but as observers and guides. Now, there is more. Each craft represents a different stellar race or alliance. Beings from the systems such as the Pleiades are one of the crafts. Arcturus, that's one of the crafts. Sirius, another craft. Andromeda, Lyra, and others yet unknown to modern science. We're talking about countless star nations. And these are not foreign entities, my friends, okay? These are all extensions of humanity's own galactic ancestry. And that's part of the disclosure, right? Each race carries unique frequencies, technologies, and wisdom. And together, they represent a universal council of unity, consciousness, awareness. So, one of the things that I teach is that we exist in multiple states all at the same time, that while we are here embodying a human form, we're also operating on some sort of mothercraft or extraterrestrial craft through a galactic avatar, right? As you guys know, I teach that, right? Well, it turns out, according to the Galactic Alliance transmission that I received, is that the human counterparts known as starseeds, and you guys all know that, you know who you are, right? Are actually also having a galactic counterpart that is operating on these, you know, limitless craft that are out there. I think there's hundreds of them now. And of course, this also ties in to the activation of the positive timeline. So what am I trying to say here? I know you guys are like, what is Ishmael trying to say? Well, check this out, guys. What is perhaps most astonishing is that many of these star envoys are not only returning to observe, they are returning to reconnect with their human counterpart. This is what I've been talking about, the convergence, right? Multidimensional integration. Well, across Earth, millions of individuals known as starseeds have long felt the call of the cosmos, and that's all of you guys here. Well, those souls, all of you, incarnated in human form by carrying a certain dormant genetic memory within your genetics, and of course, a mission tied to those very star civilizations. Well, the arrival of the smaller craft that is being seen by the other space agencies, in metaphysical terms, as the external reflection of an internal activation that is happening with the human counterparts. Okay, I know this sounds a little crazy. Ishmael, you're telling me that we as starseeds are operating galactic avatar on some of these ships? Yeah, at the same time, simultaneously, while embodying a human form. I know, go figure, guys. All right, take my courses and you'll know what I mean. As these crafts emit subtle energetic signals, they are actually awakening latent DNA codes within the starseeds, preparing them for eventual contact. So the contact is not happening from outside of us. It's happening when we re-emerge with our galactic avatar through the activation of our dormant DNA. We merge, we become one. It's like two bodies just collapse into one. Okay, that's what's going to be happening. Not just with the beings aboard, of course, but with our own higher selves that are abroad these crafts. And okay, so however, contact will not be rushed. I was informed that contact will not be rushed. The timing is going to be delicate, dictated by vibrational resonance rather than political readiness. And as humanity, as a collective, continues to awaken and heal and align, the veil will become thin to the point where it will no longer be here. And the divide between us and our galactic counterpart that is operating on those ships will be dissolved. So, Three Eye Atlas is more than just an interstellar visitor. It's the harbinger of a reunification, a beacon that signals the return of a galactic family, once lost but now found. The smaller craft it dispatches are not alien scouts that are separate from us. They are the emissaries of light, here to observe, assist, and eventually reunite with their human counterpart. That's us. Okay? So, as I speak right now, Galactic Jedis, we actually stand now at the threshold of a cosmic dawn. The silence from some agencies like NASA is no longer enough to suppress the truth because the unfolding light in the skies can no longer hide it. The stars have sent their children home, and Earth, long veiled and isolated, is once again being recognized as a member of the interstellar community. The question is not if we are ready, but how we will rise to meet the truth that has always been written in our stars and encoded in our DNA. So, the purpose, as I get more downloads and do more research, I've come to understand that the purpose of Three Eye Atlas is to act as a cosmic catalyst. It's not here to conquer, all right, or create first contact externally. It's here to activate the human counterparts that are operating on those ships. Okay? They have human counterparts, and that is the star seeds. There are millions of star seeds now, ranging from the age of 1 to 90, the 95 maybe, the first of them. The first waiver started coming in the 40s. So across independent investigations and spiritual circles alike, there is a common theme that is emerging, and that is that Three Eye Atlas is not here to dominate, it is here to guide, okay? It is the star seeds, their human counterparts that are operating a human avatar, right, that are here to pretty much usher in the new age. So the electromagnetic frequencies that it is emitting reportedly interacts subtly with the Earth's magnetosphere and human consciousness. And some researchers have even believed that the influence could be designed to amplify intuition, creativity, and enhance our empathy capabilities, all right, within humanity, catalyzing a shift from conflict-driven survival towards cooperative evolution. Three Eye Atlas might be part of a galactic initiative, and I believe it is, all right, aimed at accelerating civilization here on this planet beyond the trajectory of self-destruction. So the question is then, is not whether NASA knows the truth, because they do know the truth, all right? But when will NASA admit it? Think about that. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So it's up to us, the starseeds, to begin to activate through meditation and begin connecting with our galactic counterpart on Three Eye Atlas or on these multiple smaller crafts that are surrounding Three Eye Atlas. So global transparency is emerging from other nations, apparently, independent astronomers, and spiritual researchers who no longer rely on Western space institutions to define cosmic reality. So, it is believed that Three Eye Atlas and its arrival is representing a turning point in human history, a moment when we must confront not only the existence of advanced extraterrestrial life, but the higher purpose of our own evolution. Perhaps rather than a cover up of danger, as reported by NASA, and of course, NASA's silence has concealed an even deeper truth that humanity is being what? Prepared. Is being prepared. So, there's another piece of information that I wanted you guys to hear about. And this actually coincides with what Q said in 2016 when he was referring to Israel being last, right? Well, it turns out that as the Earth moves through a crescendo of awakening and planetary transformation, which is a long forgotten prophecy that is also reemerging with that. One tied not only to the stars, but to the very core of human history and spiritual destiny. Well, the arrival of the interstellar object known as Three Eye Atlas is actually more than astronomical. It is prophetic, signaling the activation of a final phase in an ancient galactic conflict between opposing forces. Right? The last battle takes place here on the Earth. The last battle of what? Of an ancient galactic war. Well, to be technical, of an ancient cosmic war involving other universes that has been going on for billions of years. Earth is the last battleground. I've been saying this for a long time. Well, think about it. There was a battle between the Luciferian negative Anunnaki during Atlantean times against the positive angelic guardian race Anunnaki for control of the Earth. And you guys know that, right? You guys know that there were two groups of Anunnakis. Not all Anunnaki were evil. I'm sorry, some people say all the Anunnaki were evil. That is not the case. Okay? Well, there is a difference between the Anunnaki overlords that are associated with the reptilian gene that took over the affairs of our world and the angelic Anunnaki that were associated with the guardians of old that were fighting the negative Anunnaki. So at the heart of this prophetic unfoldment lies a long buried truth, and that is the last stronghold of the negative Anunnaki faction operates through the shadow networks beneath the geopolitical entity known today as Israel. And that this final bastion has been preserved for a reckoning long foretold, a battle that would actually unfold not through conventional war, but through vibrational liberation and the return of humanity's true protectors through the activation of the first wavers, which are going to be the star seeds that are going to be activated first, that are the direct descendants of the positive guardian Anunnaki of old, the good Anunnaki, the descendants of Zeus, Enlil, not Enki. Well, the Anunnaki, as recorded in these Sumerian tablets and echoed in ancient lore across the globe, were once considered mythological gods, wrongly, right? But they were in truth advanced beings from planet Nibiru. They were no gods. And then some of the Anunnaki were actually infiltrated by the Draconians, as I explained in my course, Our Cosmic Origin, right? They infiltrated Nibiru, who eventually manipulated the early human genetics and took dominion over the earth for thousands of years. Well, again, it is important to understand that not all Anunnaki were malevolent in ancient times. Only those that were associated with the royal house of Draco of the Orion Empire. According to esoteric traditions and supported by galactic records, which I have luckily been very fortunate to have access to, and then preserved in the ancient mystery schools. There was actually a split within the Anunnaki collective of old. One faction was aligned with service to self, and we all know who that was, who were draconian Anunnaki seeking control through hybrid bloodlines, political infiltration, and energy harvesting from human suffering. The other group of Anunnaki, the good guys, were aligned with service to others of pure Lyran and Syrian genetics, known in ancient times as the angelic guardians of Earth, like Zeus Enlil, and his children, the demigods, right? Who were beings that were committed to preserving the organic evolution of Earth and the freedom of its inhabitants. And this is actually an excerpt taken from my unpublished book that I am still working on. I go deeper, a whole chapter on the differences between the two factions of Anunnaki. Well, over the millennium, the negative faction embedded itself into the Earth's power structure, working behind the scenes through the secret societies that originated from what? The Brotherhood of the Snake. Well, who was the snake? Enki, right? Who created the false religious constructs that really gained momentum during Babylon, financial systems, fractal banking, fiat system. Did you guys know that the ancient Babylonians were also practicing the central banking system, implementing the central banking, fractal banking? Yeah. And of course, in modern times, the military industrial complexes. But among the most fortified domains, the land that we know that we call today Israel became a strategic spiritual vortex for the negative Anunnaki, not only due to its geographic location, but because of its ancient Atlantean and pre-flood technologies that are buried deep underneath Jerusalem. Remnants of stargates are there, my friends. I told you guys tonight was going to be good as well. And dimensional access points that have always existed underneath Israel. Well, from a galactic perspective, the region known as Israel is not merely a nation. It is a dimensional anchor, a key node in Earth's planetary grid that has been hijacked and kept under lockdown by the negative Anunnaki and their descendants, the Khazarian Zionists, known as today. Well, according to a long-hidden prophecy, preserved in part by the mystic sects, the Essenes, and the starseed lineages, the last battle in the cosmic war for the earth would be centered around that region we call Israel, right? But it would not be a war of bombs and bullets. It will be a battle of frequencies, timelines, and consciousness. Now, the reason Israel is last before the liberation, full liberation of the earth takes place, is because it houses not just political power, but the final inversion technologies, artificial frequency systems designed to block higher consciousness, suppress sacred feminine energy, and anchor in the false timelines. All right. The epicenter of that is in Israel, which was, of course, held in position by the negative Anunnaki who reside underneath Israel. Well, these systems are guarded by non-human intelligences that have resisted all forms of previous liberation attempts. And so the prophecy has always stated that Israel will not fall by human hands alone. It is going to be dismantled when the help from the stars arrive and activate the descendants of the positive Anunnaki, who will in turn overthrow the negative Anunnaki underneath Israel. Well, in short, therefore, the arrival and appearance of 3i Atlas, right, an intelligently guided interstellar craft, now confirmed by multiple space agencies to be dispatch hundreds of smaller emissary ships is the celestial signal that activates the final phase of this ancient prophecy. The mothership is not merely observing, it is initiating a vibrational override of the frequency prisons that have long been kept under Israel. Earth is under the control, and it has been for quite some time, of the negative factions of the Anunnaki who have been operating up to date in modern times in Israel. And as its smaller craft dispense around this planet, and that's what's going to be happening as we approach the end of the year, specific energy nodal points are being recalibrated with a primary target aimed at the frequency architecture beneath Israel. Simultaneously, scattered across Earth, the descendants of the angelic guardian Anunnaki race, that have been incarnating in human form, you know who you are, will be receiving the activation codes via dreams, energy transmissions, and direct contact for some of you. Direct contact with your galactic avatar as you merge. These souls, known in ancient terms as seraphim born, blue ray starseeds, or shield holders, are waking up to the roles as the living vessels of the divine intervention. They are not here to attack. They are here to reclaim, to hold frequency, and to usher in a new golden age in which the Earth rejoins the interstellar alliance of sovereign worlds. And the end game of all of this is to collapse the last bastion of the negative, a grid that is held underneath Israel, to give rise to the golden age. Well, according to decoded prophecies found in ancient Enochian texts, pre-flood Lemurian records, and even in the Kabbalistic Sohar, when correctly interpreted, the fall of the final Anunnaki grid under Israel would mark the lifting of the last veil. And this event is already in motion, my friends. And this is what it includes: the dismantling of the underground installations, which is something that the Earth Alliance and the Y Hats have been doing since 2015, right? Well, part of the final phase is the dismantling of the underground installations underneath Jerusalem. And this is why Netanyahu's still in power, because once we remove those installations and defeat the Anunnaki that control him, then he will be removed. Okay? So, the dismantling of the underground installations underneath Jerusalem and surrounding areas that are said to house hybrid labs, as mentioned, they are literally artificially creating the Antichrist, who's going to be an android connected to the quantum computer and advancing as a super intelligent AI. Okay, so they're going to be we know that there are hybrid labs that are building the android AI Antichrist. There are also control centers underneath Israel, and even time distortion technologies. And also, part of this event that will usher in the golden age is the exposure of shadow networks that link negative extraterrestrial factions with global elites, and the collapsing of the false spiritual hierarchies that have used religion as a weapon to trap souls in fear and in guilt. And also the activation of planetary light grids, which have been dormant since the fall of Atlantis, like the Sophia codes, right? But is being reawakened in synchronicity with 3i Atlas's presence. And as this occurs, the golden age will begin to manifest. It is not a utopia gifted by outsiders. It is a rebirth of humanity's divine blueprint, restored by the alliance between awakened humans and their star origin. Therefore, the arrival of Three Eye Atlas is not an invasion, okay, as other podcasters have mentioned. It is the fulfillment of divine prophecy. And it is the fulfillment of a divine plan, seeded long before human history was ever even distorted. The negative Anunnaki's grip over the earth is ending. The last bastion is underneath Israel. We just took out the second stronghold of the Anunnaki, which was located in what the ancient Sumerian text called the Apsu, which is the central northern region of Africa. And I did mention this in a prior life. All right. So the negative Anunnaki's grip on the earth is ending, my friends. Not by violence, but by the resonant frequency of truth, universal truth, carried by a fleet of emissaries and the activation of ancient souls. So Israel, as the final bastion of the synagogue of Satan. I don't even know if I should be saying this right now, but I'm just going to say it as it is. Israel, as the final bastion of the synagogue of Satan, was reserved for the last takedown because it represents the deepest layers of distortion. But it is also the gateway through which the highest light shall enter. As the veil falls and the guardian races arise through the activation of their starseed counterparts, Earth is preparing to take her place among the stars, not as a battleground, but as a beacon. And the prophecy is not only unfolding as I speak, my friends, it is being lived. It is being lived. Now I'm going to give a geopolitical report. I'm going to give an update on the EBS as well.
You want to mention the guy that told you about the military?
Oh yeah, I will mention that in a little bit. Don't forget, guys, that my November classes are up for grab. My classes are only $100. Each course consists of 4 classes, 4 consecutive weekends. And that begins, I believe, the 3rd week of November. For those that missed the October classes, go to my website, or cosmicorigin.com, to secure your spot. And I will see you guys on a webinar. All right, let's continue here. So, across continents, joint military and intelligence cells are purging the infrastructure of the cabal quietly. In Europe, small but high impact raids are targeting data centers in Frankfurt, Vienna, and Zurich, believed to store off-ledger accounts and even elite digital vaults. Well, these aren't headline assassinations. They're actually midnight seizures of servers, routers, and cryptographic keys taken while the world is asleep, or while the world sleeps, because this is happening at night, okay? Done by the White Hat military. So we're not talking about just Venezuela and just about about purging the crime here in the States. We're talking about a global purging that is taking place, my friends. In Africa, proxy forces backed by the Alliance are actually isolating nodes in Cameroon and in Democratic Republic of Congo. Mineral network hubs, control points for cobalt, lithium, rare earths, minerals are being cordoned and blocked by the Alliance. The elites used these as leverage. Now those nodes are actually being cut out and neutralized by the Alliance. In the Pacific, marine task forces are actually tracking and interdicting deep sea shipping lanes used by black ships that carry contraband, intel couches, or extension teams. So they're actually counteracting a lot of the criminal networks that are using these vessels across the seas. Submersible co-ops deploying dark sonar have already disabled 2 vessels near the Philippines and Solomon Islands in just the last 2 nights. Well, those ships are now being afloated behind closed base in Guam and Diego Garcia. The gold vaults in secret locations are also being emptied by the White Hat military, gradually in parts all over the world. Night convoys are moving precious metals under escort through remote routes. The old routes, the sealed vaults, the subterranean caches, once considered untouchable, are being drained in precision sweeps by the White Hat military. So the elites know that it is coming, that they are done with. Also, certain countries are being allowed to delayed bond repayments, interest suspensions quietly handed behind closed doors. The cracks in debt markets are widening, my friends. Some currencies are starting to flicker that are not yet collapsed, but it's going to collapse. The border war is ongoing incrementally. In sectors along Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, infiltration groups have been turned back repeatedly. Coalition forces are operating in mixed units, federal, military, allied forces using drones and ground sensors to locate crossing corridors. Tunnel systems, those ancient networks under deserts and mountains, are being mapped with ground penetrating radar used by Space Force and neutralized one by one. Many tunnels are being sealed using micro implosive charges that collapse them from within without large external blast, minimizing civilian detection. Cartel splinter units are being tracked as well. Some sleeper cells near border towns are being encircled and arrested quietly. Others trying forced incursions are met with immediate air and ground counterstrikes, but it's not yet an open battlefield. It's slow intensity, surgical, and layered. This is the way the White Hat military operates. Gitmo is no longer the only site. New security faculties in the Arctic zones are being built in northern Canada and in Greenland, and remote islands are being fitted with modular detention blocks. Well, those facilities are being provisioned with power, secure communications, drone no-fly zones, electromagnetic shielding, and many transported detainers are in hidden transitional custody, holding zones underneath existing military bases, concealed in unused subterranean spaces. And then some detainees are already under preliminary questioning where they're asked for full asset disclosure, banking trails, and global network diagrams. And the reason they're doing this is that in order to so that the interrogation data is being fed into algorithmic mapping systems for the White Hats. High-value detainers are separated and processed for final tribunal listing. And the broadcast system, the EBS override network, is being tested daily as I speak. Multi-country signal handshakes, satellite to ground relay loops, quantum resistant encryption layers, and these are all being exercised in dark cycles. Some nations report unexplained network outages lasting seconds. The override backbone is synchronized across continents incrementally so that when the activation happens, we're talking about the EBS, latency and signal propagation issues are eliminated. Local blackout drills are happening in small towns. Lights are flickering, radio disappears for seconds. Emergency channels are activating briefly. Citizens might even dismiss it, but those that are real technical, but bear in mind that these are all what they call real technical rehearsals for the big one, right? The EBS. They're stress tests. That's what they're conducting right now. Communication with off-grid cells, resistant pods, underground media teams is being also aligned. Mesh networks, encrypted burst, Satellite fallback links are being tested and mapped. Redundant paths are being built in every region. So deep state remnants are apparently firing back. Attempted assaults, sabotage, and last-minute hacks. In South Asia, a media conglomerate was hit by a cyber attack that wiped its archives. Well, that group had been blackmailing political figures for decades. The alliance countered by isolating the server farm and inserting forensic traps to trace the origin as I speak. Internal leaks suggest that the enemy used Spectre proxies to mask origin from known nodes. In Latin America, a biotech lab in Paraguay tied to medical experiments suddenly caught fire. Well, we all know it was probably by by purpose, right? But multiple witnesses saw drone suppression and outgoing data taps. That explains it. Well, that lab was actually reportedly holding epigenetic control patents and manipulations. The fire was a diversion. The data was already exfiltrated by the alliance teams, thank God. So apparently it caught on fire by the cabal in order to conceal the epigenetic control of the patents and the vaccine manipulations. And the fire was diverse, and the data was apparently extracted by the alliance before they burned it down. Good news. In Europe, a senior procurement office in Germany for the EU was infiltrated by the alliance. So files related to elite-controlled supply chains for advanced surveillance tech were copied and replaced with embedded false logic. And that's part of the psychological collapse phase, bronze puppet networks feeding corrupted directives to confuse their own followers. Every operation is still in the process of convergence. The timing is close, my friends. So the gateway must align with node synchronization for the EBS, that when it hits near perfect global timing, a single misalignment could actually fracture the launch. So they're making sure that that does not happen, all right, to have a successful global EBS. Also, some corridors of cartel resistance or elite safe zones are still active. Small pockets in remote zones like in Central Asia, Siberia, and deep in the Amazon. And they haven't been fully sealed. Also, tactical resources, special forces, drones, orbital assets must be rebalanced for theater, now quieter, to zones still active. And tribunals must be ready. Streaming infrastructure, legal frameworks, data validation, chain of custody, all of it must be bulletproof if it's going public, and it will be going public. And this actually also ties in with what I was told today at the grocery store. One of the workers there actually came up to me. He watches my show. He recognized me. He says, Ishmael, I was told by a military person high up there that they're thinking about implementing the EBS sometime this month, before the end of October. Okay, well, that's what he told me, guys. That's what this guy told me at a grocery store. So I'm just like throwing it out there, guys, that based on what I've gathered and based with what I just presented, and also if you kind of correlated with what's happening with 3i Atlas and the activation of the star seeds and the overthrow of the last bastion of the Anunnaki, and the planetary alignment, it seems like everything's heading towards the end of this year. The end of this year. Oh, and by the way, guys, I am the author of those amazing books right behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore suppressed information and galactic history back to the Earth. And yes, they are available on Amazon. I forgot to mention that. And I also forgot to mention the date. Today is the 15th of October. And yes, my friends, based on what I presented today, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. Now, a few notes that I took based on a transmission that my lovey got a month ago is that less than a month ago is that the furlough is a lie. The government shutdown, and it is a psyop, and much is being invested into studying 3i Atlas from behind the scenes, and also the main systems of propulsion and the anti-gravity of the craft that it is showing is the reason why they don't want us to know. Another reason why NASA is not telling us the truth. And they were all instructed by the members of 3i Atlas to not shoot it down. Okay, to not shoot it down. So, huh?
Those are some points.
Yeah, those are some points. Is there anything else you want me to share?
I want to share like that in some of my downloads from Ashtar that they actually have demands of the government, and NASA and the government are not complying, and that may be one of the reasons why they're shut down is because of the corruption and because they're manufacturing images that they're not doing, the disclosure, and they just want to keep a truth embargo, that those spots that they have in their government, they might not be there much longer, especially when Atlas and Swan and Lemon and all those other objects that are coming in, they're gonna want to do their own thing. They want to disclose themselves, and these representatives are not complying, even though they are getting the signals that they're not supposed to shoot on them because this would target a type of a warlike scenario. They're not here for that. They want to come peacefully, and they don't want any Draco or dark government cabal intervention in any of this. So the furlough and the government shutdown is a psyop. And yes, they have billions and billions that they're spending and currently investing in studying 3i Atlas.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
And they just think that they're entitled to the information and that we're not supposed to be privy to it because it would incite fear and panic. So that's supposedly one of the reasons why Trump's not releasing the images and the information that he's being supplied by NASA.
Thank you for sharing. All right, I'm going to give some shout outs. I see MPW333 is in the house, Starlight, Joe, Debbie Gender, Aaron H., Veronica Domingo, William Ryan, Lori Cunny, Chelsea Stevens, Anthony Fillion, Martian Stealth Jedi, what a name, Project Skyfalls, T. Sinclair, Eddie K. of Light, Master Light, Sherry Shoon, Angela, Cat W, T. Sinclair, Leslie S., Harvest Moon, Mike Hammer, and all 2,700 freedom lovers that are in the house. Welcome, everybody. You guys know the drill. This is a Q&A time, so if you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to get your folium. I am getting some feedback from those that have already tried it, and it is best to take all three of the folium. So the demand for this thing is high. I know that a month ago we ran out of the PX, which is this one, but right now all three are in stock. And when you take them together, well, PX by itself for a month, and then Folium Relax and Folium Immuno together for the following month, and you just kind of switch back and forth every other month, go from this one to these, from this one to that, gives you the most effective results in cleaning out your body from metals, graphene, parasites, radiation, all of that good stuff. So that all of that bad stuff, good stuff. So that way your body's natural healing process takes effect. So I always put the link in the description. I even pin it in the comments. I believe in this product, and I've been taking it. I love it. And I don't ever get sick ever because of Folium.
Maybe.
What's up?
I suggested that we do a meditation at the end to help with contact and our connection with these galactic beings. So if you want afterwards to get a little meditation with the
Yeah, we could do a meditation at the end of the live. Yeah, let's do that. No problem. All right, Q&A time. Let's see. Questions. Where are the questions? Sonia Davis says, thank you for your hard work, Ishmael and Monica. You're so welcome, Sonia. What do you think about Europe now making collecting biometrics mandatory for entry? Well, guess who controls the European Union and NATO and all those globalist agencies? Right? The guy who sits in the Middle East today, the modern state of Israel. So once Israel is eliminated, the first thing we're going to see is the collapsing of the totalitarian fascist system that is being rolled out gradually in Europe through the biometrics and digital IDs. How many of the 144,000 are in Denmark or Scandinavia? This is a question from Bernd Rembo. I'm not sure, but from what I was told, we are scattered geographically all throughout the continent. So we're not just located in one continent. How do you know what tribe you are? This is a question from Project Skyfalls. Well, I guess we're going to all find out when we activate and receive all our memories. We're all going to know what tribe we come from. Thank you so much, Edward Wusick, for the donation. Thank you so much, Jennifer Cartner, for your donation. Do all the star seeds know that they are star seeds? This is a question from Kathy Springer. I believe the great majority of them do. I think most of them know by now. You know, they've always felt drawn to the stars. They've always been into spirituality. They've always rebelled against the conventional status quo, right? If you've rebelled against the conventional status quo, if you've always been drawn to learning about metaphysics, spirituality, aliens, then most chances are is that you are a starseed, or it is more likely that you are a starseed. Thank you so much for your super chat, my first super chat of the evening, Sonia Davies. Thank you so much, Sonia. Big shout out to you, sister. Is Valiant Thor going to be on the front line when we have first contact? Question from Christina Nardasi. Well, even Valiant Thor has a human counterpart that is operating in human form. Again, guys, the extraterrestrials, the galactics, are not separate from us. If you are a starseed, chances are is that you have a galactic counterpart that is operating on a different dimension, on a spacecraft, in a different reality. And when the dimensional conversion takes place, there's going to be a collapsing. You will reunite with your galactic avatar. Stu says, thank you, mate. Oh, you're welcome. I'm just kidding. I can't really do an Australian accent. What is the Ark of the Covenant exactly? Well, it is a multi-dimensional relic. It does multiple things. Well, first of all, it houses the dimensional portal that connects the Earth to Andromeda, which was the galaxy that the Milky Way was once connected to, our elder galaxy. Um, and according to the Old Testament, it was used by the original Israelites also as a weapon against their enemies, and among other things. Okay, so it has a dimensional portal in it that connects the Earth to Andromeda, and is also again used as a weapon against the enemies of God. In ancient times, it was used as a weapon, among other things. This is a question from Jackie Baby. She says, Ishmael, so if there are 7 billion people on the earth, are there 7 billion souls counterpart in the three eye atlas? No. Or just star seeds? Just star seeds. And also, about 34 or 35% of the 7 billion people of the earth don't have souls. Remember, they're non player characters, they're background people, NPCs. So only the few million star seeds that are down here have galactic counterparts on these craft. The majority of Earth, the majority of humans are Terrans, Earth Terrans, younger souls. Stu says, thank you to Monica.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, John Michael Kelly, for your super chat. He says, I am looking forward to attending Ishmael's birthday Zoom call on November the 1st. Oh, yeah, that's going to be epic. Only 20 of you guys were able to join. That's all I want to do, because part of that hour and 30 minutes, full 90 minutes, is I really want to get to know all 20 of you guys on a personal level. So not only will I be presenting, be sharing a little bit more about myself, the evolution of Ismael Perez, something that I've never shared before, my connections to Valley and Thor, but I'm also going to want to get to know all 20 individuals. So only 20 people are going to be on that Zoom. I want to get to know you guys on a personal level, so it's going to be very interactive. It's like we're going to be on a FaceTime call for a whole 90 minutes. Heather J. Ritzema says that my classes are really good. Oh, thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. Yeah, my classes are next level, guys. You know, these are courses that are sold for $1,000 or more in other parts or by other people, but I keep them for only $100, guys. Each course is 4 classes. So if you break $100 into 4 classes, that's only $25 a class. I'm telling you guys, go to my website so I can see you in the November classes that start the 3rd week of November, our cosmicorigin.com. I do have another super chat from John Joseph. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you for the little cartoon emoji. That was cute. I want to welcome Kokina, our new subscriber. She says, question Ishmael, I am a new subscriber. Our Hubble, is that what she's saying? Hubble and Webb telescopes images of the galaxies real and true representations? Yes, they are. those images are real. There are billions of galaxies just within the known universe, and that's only 4% of what we can measure. The other 96%, they call it the missing universe. Well, if you take my course, Our Cosmic Origin, I reveal what's in the missing universe. I go deep into that class, okay? So if you, to answer your question, absolutely. And thank you. Is it Kokina? Thank you for becoming a new subscriber. You are welcome. Chris, thank you so much for your super chat. He says, hi, Ishmael. I still have my original body according to a shaman, but will I with stolen soul vanish at solar flash? How will I get it back? It's lost. I know who you are, Chris, because you've taken courses with me. Brother, your soul isn't lost. You're here. You're fully intact. You're not a clone, okay? You are a real person with a real soul. So I wouldn't worry about that, Chris. I wouldn't worry about that. No, the classes are not recorded. It is interactive. So go to my website to see if any of those times fit in your schedule. I mainly do my courses on Saturday and Sunday. On different times. Each class is 1 hour. So each course consists of 4 classes. That's 4 consecutive weekends. And if you happen to miss a course, what I do is I give you the makeup the following month, a free makeup. So that way you get the 4 classes. Thank you so much, John Joseph, for the super chat. Oh, this is a good question. When are pyramids activating? I'm not sure when, but I believe that with the activation of the first waivers, including the Kalki avatar and the group of the and the collective avatars, the pyramid, the capstone in Egypt will be shining once again. And activated. But remember, there's also an inverted pyramid underneath the Great Pyramid of Egypt. There's also underground pyramids underneath it. So when it activates, it kind of activates the entire crystalline structure of planet Earth. Thank you so much, Vicky Gray, for your super chat. She says, my gift of love to you and Monica. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Carol Slalowski, I think I pronounced it right. Thank you so much for your super chat, sister. Appreciate that. Wow, you guys are being so generous today with these super chats. Sunny Lemming, thank you so much for your super chat. And your question is, do Rh negative people need more meat in their diets? Yes. If you are Rh negative, you need to eat meat. Otherwise, your body's going to weaken. And why, if you know? Well, because we are copper-based blood. We're not iron-based blood. And so meat, specifically red meat, gives you the iron that your body needs. So you lack iron, okay? So you need to be eating a lot of steak. In fact, if you are Rh negative, I would suggest that you eat steak every day. Eat red meat like there's no tomorrow because you lack iron. Whereas Rh positive, they are iron-based blood. They don't really need to eat. They could go vegan and be okay. But if you are Rh negative, you are copper-based blood. You need the iron, okay? That's why. I do have another super chat from Mystic Voyager 000. I meditated 2 weeks ago and connected. I saw high-tech platinum uniform. They spoke Sanskrit, which is ancient Hindu. Then I saw a piece of cake. Don't you love it when dreams are random like that? Does that mean anything? You know, it sounds to me like you could have had some sort of a flashback. You could be a super soldier. In fact, I think most starseeds are super soldiers. They just don't know it, right? Because of our alien genetics. But it sounds to me like you actually had a flashback, or a memory rather, of serving in these off-world programs. Now, as far as a piece of cake appearing randomly, I don't know. Maybe you were just having a sugar craving. I don't know. I'm just speculating now. Can some RH negative souls still be NPCs? No, not at all. NPCs have no souls. Thank you so much, Susan K, for your donation. Thank you, thank you. You guys give me a second. I'm going to get some water. Some water.
Okay.
I would ask you, but you look busy. Excuse me. All right, where was I? Taking questions from the chat. Thank you so much, Adila. Thank you so much for your super chat. She says, recent chemotherapy may interfere with this activation from 3i Atlas. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that. I hope not. I hope that's not the case.
To reverse any negative side effects and close, any sort of negative side effects. Just purify your blood. Imagining that you're purifying your blood.
MS77 is asking, when is the EBS? Well, I gave a little update at the end of the presentation about the EBS and some of the operations that are being conducted by the White Hats worldwide. So if you guys are just jumping on, make sure you watch this from the replay. I do have another super chat from Chris. He says, this is serious because I read that people without their soul will vanish. I am 100% sure a girl from Orion stole my soul in 2007. All my thoughts are gone.
Just open a portal to go back and grab it and modify, and whatever modifications were done to your etheric or causal or physical body.
Did you hear that, Chris?
I would say, speak to your soul, cut the cord from that girl, first of all, and just go travel through the portal to wherever you feel like your soul went to. Go to the well of souls, and whatever had modified your etheric body or your physical body, just bring that back and just really intend on pulling it all back. And whatever, psychological effects that this girl left with you, just tell her, etherically, leave me alone. And I can't cope with that kind of behavior. So I would just, kind of go on a journey to handle it yourself and use your mind, because you can figure out anything. You have the power to do anything. No one's taking that from you. You can overcome any obstacle.
Did you hear that, Chris? That's perfect advice, my friend. I have another super chat from Mystic Voyager 000. They said, Yata Hata Ayata. Look it up, very important. Also, I saw like a group of politicians arguing, screaming at each other. They're not what Insto sign a new contract. I can't read that part. Then I saw Atlas leaving purple plasma masma behind it.
Mhm.
Well, it sounds more like a poem. Thank you for
I
sharing.
think those politicians just feel hopeless and desperate and vulnerable and curious about what's going to go on with 3i Atlas, and they don't know what to do in these situations.
Jeff says, hi, Ishmael. Is there any possible way we can create our own portal or time travel situation?
Yes.
Yeah, especially when your light body comes back online and you begin to use some of that crystalline DNA
Your
that is dormant in you.
consciousness.
Yeah, the greatest
Your higher self.
exactly. The greatest technology out there is beyond AI and beyond a quantum computer. It is called consciousness. Remember that, guys. Consciousness, if used correctly, is the greatest and most powerful technology, all natural and organic, right? That exists. Okay, just remember that, guys. All right, a few more questions, and then we'll close with a meditation. Do you want to do the meditation?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
trying to put this all together
Okay.
now. So
Thank you so much, Joanne Calderon, for your super chat. Greg says everyone has a med bed in their mind. Use it. Well, one of the things that I teach in my Ascension Basics, which is the first level of Ascension, is how to heal your body through a method known as the body scan meditation. Again, if you've never taken my Ascension courses, I would start with the basics and then move to Ascension 2.0, but they're all good. Okay, each one helps you understand the other. My November classes are up for grab. Go to my website or cosmicorigin.com so I could see you in November, the third week of November. Or is it the final week? No, it's the fourth week of November. I'm sorry for the November classes. Thank you so much. Hope is real for your super chat. She says, walking. I can't even speak now. I'm speaking with a Australian accent. Walking up, waking up this morning, had visions of moving through what looks like space rock asteroids. Then saw a craft beyond my comprehension, also having severe hip, leg pain, trouble sleeping. I don't know what to say. I mean, that could be an ascension symptom. I don't know about that vision you had, though. You had visions of asteroids, huh? Very interesting, Hope. Very interesting. Yeah, I would take some CBD for your leg pain troublesome. I would take some CBD, and also CBD will help you sleep better at night. Are we ready for the meditation, or you need another couple minutes?
I think I'm ready.
All right, one more question, and we'll do the meditation. Who's got a question? Because I hope I have an answer. Let's see. What is the role of these new children incarnating? This is a question from Sunny. Welcome, Sunny. Well, the recent higher dimensional souls that are incarnated are known as the golden children. So we have the crystal children. Now they're coming in as the golden children, which are kids that are very advanced. So we had the indigos coming in, the rainbows after the indigos, and then the blue rays, and then the crystals, and now we have the golden children. All right, let's do our little meditation here, as promised earlier. Go ahead.
Yes, everybody. Pretty soon we will be encountering all the light forces in these galactics. We'll be showing their ships above us with populated cities where people will view them. and you'll be able to experience the multiple dimensions of our reality. So one of the best ways for all of us to contact them on their ships is by opening a portal. So please close your eyes now at this time. It's nighttime now. Imagine these ships coming. You're the chosen ones now. For you to have an experience to enter these ships, you're going to go in your light body. So I would like you to first open your telepathy chakras. These are located on the sides of your temples. And open your third eye chakra for you to get more telepathy, as some of you will experience guidance from them. Connect you to your highest, truest extraterrestrial self. Connect you to your highest extraterrestrial self aboard the ship, or connect to your home. For us to enter these ships, we would like to have knowledge from them and experience. So we ask for guidance at this time, personally. Now, as we imagine our light body aboard the ship, just view all around it. There's many beings in it that you want to probably contact. They will come to you. These beings on board will meet you. They have representatives from different forces, and each of them are unique. And some of them will be able to give you their names. So hold your hand up as a sign of greeting. The unfoldment of the extraterrestrial ships in our skies is a process, and there will be encounters. Many of you will be chosen for these encounters, and these will be secret and special. Most of you encountering them and their ships will be in your light being. So what you're going to take aboard is your consciousness and have an open, unconditionally loving heart. Then go ahead and introduce yourself to those among the crew. This is supposed to be a special encounter where you have no fear. There may be some of you that have had times where they've been coming to you at nighttime or in your dreams, and some of you may not have knowledge of this. But we ask now to have that understanding of the information that you might have missed and what information you would like for these ET mentors to give you in any scenario in your life. What is currently unfolding presently on our earth is sometimes devastating, and time is dwindling. So the ETs must appear shortly to end the cabal and to end the messed up financial system. They may understand that although their appearance will be shocking to some, there is few that can handle it. And those of us that are ready, we will come out and we'll be friendly with these beings. These are